Hi guys, right, wanting to practice the dead bug at home, but integrating the pelvic tilt more, okay, and this could be a sort of home circuit you can do. So we want to integrate the pelvic tilt more and then trying to connect it to hip thrusts, okay, amongst other exercises. So I made a video of this, a slightly longer video on this the other day, but we're going to try and keep this a bit shorter, or very short, right? So what we mentioned was you're trying to create a pelvic tilt by taking a big inhale breath and then expand and then exhale, and as you exhale it should help create this tension through the lower abs, which in turn should tilt the pelvis up. So in other words, you're trying to use the contraction of the abdominals to move the pelvis into alignment, as opposed to just moving the pelvis into alignment and then hoping that the abs kick in. So there's a subtle difference, okay? So take a big deep breath, and when you, as I said, maybe try and do this with your head on the floor and your shoulders back. Take a big deep breath in, and when you exhale, you should feel your knees drift forward because your pelvis is suddenly pushing downwards, okay, into the floor, and your lower back is flat on the floor. So there, like that, okay, so we'll do it one more time. So take a big deep breath in, and as a result of the exhalation and the ab engagement, the pelvis tilts or tucks and the knees come up, okay? From there, you can take another deep breath in while maintaining the tension, okay? So you need to be very aware of like what's going on here at the pelvis. That's what makes it really effective. It gets very, very easy to switch off. So as you start to straighten the leg, right, it's very easy for your lower abs to switch off without you even realising it. So see about here, I would say most folk, as soon as they straighten the leg to be here, the ab muscles actually disengage, okay, or disengage more than they should. So at this point here, before you go any further, I want you to focus on tucking the pelvis under again by doing another big deep breath. So, and it sort of resets, okay, but then focus on being aware of how that new tension feels, because as you bring it out again further, it's going to happen again, okay. A sign this is your lower back will get sore. So it gets harder and harder to keep the pelvis in the right position because the leg is heavy and it's pulling down on it. So you need to use your abs to do that again. So I'm not voluntarily moving my leg there. So for example, I'm exhaling, which brings the pelvis up, which brings the leg with it a wee bit. So your challenge is to try and really focus on keeping this lower ab area really engaged as the leg comes down. Okay, so that's why usually when I see folk do a full length dead bug, the chances are they're probably not actually engaging properly. Okay, so they're sacrificing the core engagement for the movement. And that's an example of why you shouldn't just focus on the movement. Okay, you should focus on what you're trying to do throughout the movement. But anyway, so if you want to practice those, okay, because then it becomes quite relevant for the start position again in hip thrusts and one-legged hip thrusts. So because you want to do this, you want to tuck the pelvis and then start the hip thrust, okay? So it's the same sort of start position because you want to do that, okay? So you want to keep the engagement through the lower abs and the core as you're coming up and down by squeezing the glute, okay? So really be aware of that. So make sure that you're keeping the pelvis in that very familiar, or hopefully getting more familiar position of here, okay, when you're doing these. Then that's the next exercise. I want you to try and do 10 reps of one-legged hip thrusts, okay, so 10 reps of one-legged hip thrusts after some dead bug, maybe do about a minute worth of dead bugs. You do 10 of these, okay, just focusing and squeezing, 10 reps one side, and then you go to the other leg, and you'll do 10 reps on the other side, okay. From there, very quickly come up into a split stance, and I want you to practice the lunge, okay, so from there, all you're going to do is bend both knees simultaneously, keep a slight forward lean at the torso, so instead of being dead upright, lean into it a wee bit, then slowly come down, okay, to there, and then back up, making sure that the weight is going through the heel and the ball of the foot. So this is a wee bit of practice of exercise, but also gives you a chance to define your technique. So you're going to do 10 of those per side. Don't overdo the hinge. So what happens if you overdo the hinges? It becomes a hip hinge, right, as opposed to a lunge. So a few folk, some of the classes this week, it's quite a common mistake. We actually lean into it and end up kind of doing this. And it just ends up kind of like It's not really anything. It's not really a stiff leg movement. It's not really a lunge. So we're just looking for a subtle lean, okay, like that. Especially with the split stance lunge. It's different on the split stance split squat because your legs elevated up more, so you can lean into it a bit more naturally and still stay quite upright. So don't lean into it too much when your foot's in the ground, as it is in this one. Okay, so just come up and down, keeping the tension through the leg, through the quad, through the hamstring if you've got a slight lean. But there's still a very obvious knee bend when you're doing that. So if you do 10 slow reps per side on that, you could then practice, or go right into, for a bit of landmine practice, you could practice either the hip hinge, the one-legged hip hinge, which is the same as two legs. So what if you have a two-legged hip hinge and a one leg, is you just put your foot, so instead of having your feet together, you just bring one back so that your toes in line with your heel, and that isolates the front leg. But the actual hip hinge movement's the same, okay? Just keep your chest out and your shoulders back as you do it. You could practice from there. Another option is to actually practice like the whole one-legged stiff leg deadlift, okay, which you're doing with the landmine. So I'll do a separate video on landmines themselves, but you can even practice the movement again, aim for about 10 reps, okay? So the objective is to keep the chest out and the shoulders back, and the bar should slide down the inline of your shin, or your hands should come down the inline of your shin, okay? So if you hold the bar there, and then back up, so that's the position you're looking for. So you're aiming for 10 reps of those, okay? So these are the things to think about. The one final thing, so do it again with 10 reps in each of those. You could then add in press-ups, so you could do press-ups, obviously. You could either do full press-ups off the floor, maybe sets of 10 to 15, or you can do tricep dips off a table, but we're really slow eccentric, okay, maybe 3 or 4 seconds on the way down. So you add about 10 to 15 reps of those, okay. And then one other point I wanted to mention was, because we've spoken so much about the pelvic tilt, right, and engaging the abs and the core. The one area where this is becoming evidently problematic at the class is when people are trying to do it while they're squatting and stiff leg deadlifting, okay, which is impossible, okay. So if you're focusing too much on tucking your tailbone in here at the start or throughout the movement, as a start position is okay to help get you into the right position with the glutes, but if you're then trying to squat a deadlift and keep your tailbone tucked under, or keep your pelvis tucked under, it's not going to happen. You can't do it, okay, because if you try to squat down, you end up doing that with your knee, you lead with the knees. So forget about that. See the whole tailbone tucking under thing? Basically try and not think about it when you're doing squats and deadlifts, because it's not a good cue for this specific exercise. It's a good cue to start the exercise to help you engage, but if you're then trying to attain the same tailbone tuck throughout the movement, you're going to run into trouble, because very few folk are able to dissociate the visual cue of that without sort of not being able to do it properly. So get the position right if you want, but then after that, your hips are going to have to go back, whether it's a stiff leg or a squat. Okay, both. So you can't keep that posterior tilt. It's not going to happen. Okay, so just try and forget about that. It's a really good cue tucking the tailbone for core exercises, like we've just done the dead bugs, for hip thrusts, for overhead movements, for planks. So it's a good cue for several exercises, but it's not a good cue for squats or deadlifts, okay? So try and move away from it if you're sort of visualising that tailbone, because you'll get caught out. Anyway, so I'll just write down the exercises there for you to try, okay? You could also add in a wee hip opener with core. So from here, you could just lift this foot off here and then rotate the knee, bring it up slowly towards the elbow, right round into the centre point, straighten it out behind you, and then repeat. So rotate it out, lift it up and over, okay, round, back to the centre point. So you try 6 to 10 reps of each side of it. That's a really hard exercise on the side of the glutes. So okay, I'll list these down. Fun starts next week with the deadlifts.